Hey there. Welcome back. So glad you could make it. Why don't you go ahead and get comfortable? Settle in for a bit. Tonight, I want to take you on a little journey. We're not going to talk about anything complicated or stressful. Instead, I want to tell you a story about a place you probably know. But I promise, after tonight, you'll see it in a completely new light. First, I want you to picture your typical grocery store. You know the one. The lighting is soft and warm. There's some gentle, calming music playing. The smell of fresh bread is probably being pumped through the vents. Everything is designed to make you feel relaxed, to make you wander down the aisles and slowly fill your cart. Got that picture in your head? Good. Now, I want you to take that image, crumple it up, and throw it away, because where we're going is the complete opposite of that. We're going to a place that feels less like a store and more like a giant sprawling cathedral of consumption. A place with no windows, floors made of cold hard concrete, and a ceiling so high you can barely see it. A place where the only music is the distant beep of a forklift and the squeak of 1,000 oversized shopping carts. Of course, I'm talking about Costco. Think about that first moment you walk into a Costco. You flash your little plastic card like a secret password, and suddenly you're in this vast, overwhelming space. It's a lot to take in, right? The scale of it is just immense. You're standing at the entrance of these giant canyons of concrete and steel, with products stacked 20, 30, even 40 feet high on industrial pallets. You feel small. And the mix of things they sell is just wonderfully bizarre. Walk down one aisle and you'll find a pallet of gourmet truffle oil from Italy. Right next to it, a stack of car tires. Turn the corner and there's a mountain of Kirkland's signature sweatpants across from a glass case holding a $10,000 diamond ring. You can buy a 2-gallon jar of pickles, a professional-grade power washer, a coffin, and a rotisserie chicken that has a cult following. All under one. But after you navigate this maze, after you've hunted for your treasures and your cart is full, you're rewarded. You make your way to the food court. And that's where you find the true icon, the legend, the one thing that perhaps defines Costco more than anything else. The $1.50 hot dog and soda combo. Let's just pause and appreciate how absolutely insane that is for a second. That price has not changed since 1985. 1985. That was the year the first Nintendo console came out in America. A movie ticket cost about $3. The internet was just a quiet experiment for scientists. And yet through decades of inflation, economic booms, and busts, the Costco hot dog has remained constant, unwavering. It defies all logic. It defies the laws of economics. And that leads us to the big central question, the puzzle that sits at the heart of this giant concrete box. How on earth does this place make any money? It feels like it shouldn't exist. It breaks every rule of retail. They sell things for incredibly cheap. The store isn't designed to be a pleasant experience, and their most famous product is a loss leader that's been losing them money for decades. It seems like a recipe for disaster. But as of today, Costco is one of the biggest and most successful retailers on the entire planet. So how do they do it? Well, the answer is a beautiful, fascinating business philosophy, all orchestrated by one man, a guy named Jim Sinegal. And his story, and the story of Costco, is going to change the way you see that warehouse forever. It all starts with two incredibly simple, almost shockingly simple rules. Rules that most other businesses would be too scared to even try. And those two rules explain everything. All right, you back with me? So, At the end of our last chat, I left you with a bit of a cliffhanger. We established that Costco is this giant, weird, wonderful place that somehow, against all logic, works. And I mentioned that the entire empire is built on two incredibly simple, almost shockingly simple rules. This is the secret code. It's the core philosophy that Jim Sinegal baked into the company from day one. And honestly, it's so counterintuitive to how modern business works, it's brilliant. Are you ready? Here's the first rule. Rule number 1. No branded item can be marked up by more than 14%. And no private label Kirkland signature item can be marked up by more than 15%. Okay. Let's really break down what that means, because it's wild. The word markup is just business speak for profit margin. It's the difference between what the store pays for an item and what you pay for it. Think about a typical department store. That designer shirt you bought? The store probably marked it up by 100%, maybe more. That means if they paid $50 for it, you're paying $100 or more. A normal grocery store might mark up its items by an average of 25%. That's standard. That's how retail works. Costco just throws that entire rulebook out the window. They put a hard cap on their own greed. They have essentially made it company policy to not make a huge profit on anything they sell. Their average markup across the entire store is just around 11%. Let me give you a real-world example. There's a famous story about a time Jim Sinegal was walking through one of his stores and saw a pallet of Calvin Klein jeans selling for $29.99. He knew Costco was getting them for about $22, which meant the markup was well under his 14% rule. It was a great deal. Most CEOs would be thrilled. But Sinegal wasn't. He went back to the buyer and asked if he could get a better price from Calvin Klein. The buyer said yes, he thought he could get them for $1 cheaper. Sinegal's response?
So that's rule 1. But it's only half of the equation. Here's the second, and arguably the more important rule. Rule number 2. Take care of your employees. In an industry that is notorious for paying minimum wage, offering zero benefits, and having brutal churn and burn turnover rates, Costco is an oasis. From the very beginning, Jim Sinegal insisted on paying his people a living wage, far above the industry average. He provides excellent, affordable health insurance, benefits, and a 401k plan. There's a clear path for advancement. In fact, the vast majority of Costco's management started out pushing carts or stocking shelves. His philosophy was common sense, but revolutionary in the world of retail. He said, "If you have happy employees, you'll have happy customers. And if you have happy employees, they'll stay." And boy, do they stay. Costco's employee turnover rate is ridiculously low. While other big box stores might see turnover of 60 to 70% a year, Costco's is often under 10% for employees who have been there over a year. Now, this isn't just about being nice. This is a brilliant business strategy. Think of all the money they save on constantly having to hire and train new people. Think about the efficiency of having an experienced, motivated workforce. The person at the checkout counter isn't a stressed, underpaid new hire. They're a professional who can scan your items at lightning speed. The person stocking the shelves knows exactly where everything is. They create a positive feedback loop. Well-paid, respected employees lead to better service, which leads to happier customers, which leads to more sales. Have you ever noticed that? How the employees at Costco just seem different? Maybe more helpful, or just more efficient than at other stores? It's not your imagination. It's the result of this core philosophy. So, let's recap the puzzle we've laid out. We have a company that intentionally limits its profits on every single item it sells.
And we have a company that pays its employees far more than any of its competitors. On paper, this sounds like a lovely charity or a non-profit organization. It certainly doesn't sound like the formula for a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise. Which brings us back to that core question.
All right, so let's solve this puzzle, shall we? We have a company that sells products for almost no profit and pays its people incredibly well. It sounds like a business that's destined to fail, yet it's a global powerhouse. The question we left with was, where does the actual money, the profit that makes the whole engine run, come from? I ended by saying the answer is probably sitting in your wallet right now. So go ahead, take a look. Do you see it? It's that simple, unassuming plastic card with your picture on it. The Costco membership card. That is the secret weapon. That is the masterstroke. The annual membership fee isn't just a small price of admission. For Costco, the membership fee is the product. Let's do some really simple back-of-the-napkin math. Think about all the products on the shelves at Costco, the TVs, the chicken, the giant bags of avocados. As we talked about, Costco sells those things at a price that is just barely above what they paid for them. That tiny 11% average markup isn't designed to make a big profit. It's designed to cover the costs of running the business. It pays for the electricity, the rent on those massive warehouses, and the great salaries for their employees. Basically, the money you spend on the products just keeps the lights on. But that $60 or $120 you pay for your membership every year, that goes almost entirely into the profit column. There's very little cost associated with it. It's almost pure, unadulterated profit. In fact, in any given year, the total amount of profit Costco makes is incredibly close to the total amount of money it collects in membership fees. Think about what that means. They've completely flipped the retail model on its head. A normal store is in the business of selling you ketchup. They need to make a profit on that ketchup to survive. Costco isn't in the business of selling ketchup. They're in the business of selling you a membership. The ketchup is just a bonus. It's the incredibly cheap reward you get for being a member of the club.
And this model is psychologically brilliant for a few reasons. First, it uses a principle called the sunk cost fallacy. Once you've paid that $60 or $120, you are financially and mentally invested in Costco. A little voice in the back of your head says, "I've already spent this money. Now I need to make sure I get my money's worth." This feeling compels you to shop at Costco instead of another store. It encourages you to go more often and buy more when you're there, all to justify that initial fee. Do you ever do that? The little Costco math in your head, where you see a great deal and think, okay, I just saved $20 on this jacket, so my membership is already a third of the way paid for. It's a powerful mind game, isn't it? Let me know if that feeling is real for you. Second, it creates a powerful sense of exclusivity and trust. You're not just a customer, you're a member. You're part of a club for smart shoppers who are in on the secret. This builds a powerful loyalty that a normal grocery store just can't compete with. You trust that the products inside have been vetted and are being sold to you at the fairest possible price. This all creates what business nerds call a flywheel, or a virtuous cycle. It works like this. More members means more guaranteed income from fees. That huge, stable cash flow gives Costco immense buying power. They can go to a company like Samsung and say, "We want to buy 500,000 of your new TVs. What's the absolute best price you can give us?" With that incredible price, they put the TVs on the floor, passing the savings directly to you. You see the amazing deal. You feel brilliant for being a member, and you happily renew your membership next year, which gives Costco more cash, more buying power, and the wheel spins faster and faster. The proof is in the numbers. Costco has a membership renewal rate of over 90% globally. That is absolutely unheard of. People sign up, and they stay. because the value is just too good to leave. So, that fee in your wallet isn't just your ticket into a store. It's your subscription to a system of trust. It's the engine that powers.
So, that membership card is the key that unlocks the entire Costco kingdom. It gets you in the door, but getting you inside is only step one. Costco's real genius lies in what happens after you're through the entrance. Let me ask you a question, and be honest. Have you ever gone into Costco with a very specific plan? I'm just getting milk, eggs, and paper towels, and walked out 2 hours later with a $150 worth of stuff you had absolutely no idea you needed? Maybe a giant teddy bear, a kayak, a 3-pound bag of kale. Yeah, me too. Every single time. This is not an accident. You're not weak-willed. You are simply experiencing the magic of Costco's second brilliant strategy, the treasure hunt. A normal supermarket is designed for efficiency. The bread is always in the bread aisle. The milk is always in the back corner. They want you to get in, find your stuff, and get out, feeling like it was an easy trip. Costco throws that idea right out the window. Have you ever noticed how they're constantly moving things around? That pallet of Kirkland coffee that was at the front of the store last week is now hidden somewhere in the back behind the electronics. The layout is intentionally confusing. Why would they do that? Because they want you to get lost. They want you to wander. They force you to walk down aisles you would have otherwise skipped. And on that journey, you're bound to discover things. And this is where the treasure part comes in. About a quarter of the products in any Costco are these limited-time special buy items. One week it might be a shipment of high-end Le Creuset cookware. The next it could be a pallet of designer jackets. You never know what you're going to find. This creates a powerful sense of urgency and discovery. It triggers the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Your brain sees that deal and thinks, wow, this is amazing. If I don't buy this right now, it will be gone next week, and I might never see it again. Finding an unexpected bargain gives your brain a tiny jolt of pleasure, a little dopamine hit. It's the same chemical reward you get from finding a $20 bill in an old...
And then, after your epic 2-hour treasure hunt is complete, when your giant cart is full and your wallet is a little lighter, you arrive at the finish line, the reward, the food court. And this brings us back to the legend itself, the $1.50 hot dog. We've established that this price is iconic, that it hasn't changed in decades, but the story of why it hasn't changed tells you everything you need to know about the soul of this company. Picture this. It's 2018. The new CEO of Costco, a man named Craig Jelinek, goes to the now retired founder, Jim Sinegal, for advice. Craig is a smart businessman, and he tells Jim, "We're losing money on our hot dog and soda combo. The numbers don't work anymore. We have to raise the price." It was a perfectly logical business suggestion. Any other company would have raised the price to $1.75 or $2 without a second thought. But Jim Sinegal, he just looked at him. And the story goes, his response was immediate and very, very clear. He said, "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you. Figure it out." He wasn't kidding, because Jim Sinegal understood something deeper than the numbers on a spreadsheet. He knew that the hot dog was not just a hot dog, it was a promise. In the world of marketing, there's a concept called a loss leader, a product sold at a loss to attract customers. But for Costco, the hot dog is something more. It's a trust leader. It is the most powerful, tangible, edible symbol of their entire business philosophy. It's a constant reminder to every member that walks through the door that Costco is, and always will be, on their side. It's the ultimate proof that they will not nickel and dime you. So how did they figure it out? Instead of raising the price, Costco did the most Costco thing imaginable. They just built their own hot dog factories to cut out the middleman and control the costs. Problem solved. All right, final food court question. Be honest. How many times have you gone to Costco just for a cheap lunch or dinner? No judgment here. You are among friends. So, you have a store that's intentionally designed like a maze to make you hunt for treasure. So we've talked about the strange layout of the store, the brilliant business model, and the legendary hot dog. But a company isn't just a collection of rules and strategies. A company, especially one as unique as Costco, is a reflection of its founder's personality. Its soul is a mirror of their soul. So, who was Jim Sinegal? Who was the man who would threaten to kill his own CEO over a hot dog? Well, if you were to picture the typical high-flying billionaire CEO, Jim Sinegal would be the exact opposite of that picture in every single way. He wasn't a flashy showman. He wasn't some tech prodigy from an Ivy League school. Jim Sinegal started his career in 1954, at the age of 18. His first job? Unloading mattresses from freight trucks for a discount retailer called FedMart. That's where he learned the business, not from a textbook, but from the ground up. He spent decades on the concrete floors of warehouses, stocking shelves, learning about pricing, and most importantly, talking to customers. He learned what people actually wanted, good quality stuff, sold at a price that felt fair. It was that simple. When he co-founded Costco in 1983, he brought that floor-level mentality with him, even as he became one of the most powerful men in retail. For decades, while he was the CEO of this massive multi-billion-dollar company, his corporate office was famously Spartan. It was a simple, windowless room, furnished with old, mismatched chairs. If you wanted to see him, you didn't have to go through layers of assistants. He answered his own phone. Think about that for a second. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company answering his own phone. He wore a standard Costco-issued name badge every day, just like every other employee. It didn't say CEO or founder. It just said Jim. He spent about a third of his year on the road, but not jet-setting to fancy conferences. He was constantly visiting his own stores, unannounced. He would walk the floors for hours, talking to the cart pushers, the cashiers, the bakers. He knew their names. He knew their families. And his philosophy often put him in direct conflict with Wall Street. Financial analysts would get on conference calls and yell at him. They told him he was being irresponsible. They said, "You're paying your employees too much. You're leaving profits on the table by not raising your prices. You need to think about the shareholders." And Jim's response was always calm and always the same. He would say something like, "We are a business and our goal is to make a profit. But we believe that in order to be a good business, you have to be a good corporate citizen first. If we take care of our customers and our employees, the shareholders will be rewarded in the long run." He was playing a different game. Wall Street wanted short-term profits, big numbers for the next quarter. Jim was building something to last for 100 years. He kept his own salary famously low, at least by CEO standards. He never had a private jet. He flew coach. He believed that no executive should ever make more than a reasonable multiple of what their lowest-paid employee made. He wasn't trying to be a saint. He was just practical. He believed that this was simply the right and the most sustainable way to do business. He built a kingdom not by being a king, but by being one of the workers. And that humility, that relentless focus on the basics, on fairness, it's infused into every concrete floor and every steel beam of every Costco warehouse in the world. It's the reason a hot dog can stay the same price for over 30 years. It's the reason the company can feel so different from any other. It's the quiet, steady heartbeat of the whole operation. And so, that's the story. That's the secret code of Costco. We started with a question. How does this giant, strange, concrete box of a store, a place that seems to break every rule of retail, not only survive, but thrive? And I think by now, we've found the answer. It's not just one thing. It's not just the membership model, or the treasure hunt, or the hot dog. It's all of those things working together in perfect harmony, built on a foundation of a single, powerful idea. Trust. That's it. That's the real secret ingredient. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with advertising, where we feel like every company is trying to pull a fast one on us, trying to find new ways to charge us more for less, Costco feels different. It's a business model built on a loop of trust that creates incredible loyalty. Let's trace it one last time. It starts with them trusting their employees. They pay them well, treat them with respect, and in return the employees trust the company with their loyalty and hard work. Then, they trust you, the customer. They trust that you'll see the value they provide and be willing to pay the annual membership fee. And in return, you trust them. You walk into their store with a sense of confidence, knowing that you aren't going to get ripped off. You trust that the price on the tag is the fairest price they can possibly give you. That trust makes you feel good about shopping there. It makes you feel smart. And that good feeling makes you come back, year after year, happily renewing that membership. The whole thing is a beautiful, self-sustaining ecosystem. It's a business that gets stronger, not by squeezing more out of people, but by giving more to them. Jim Sinegal's radical idea was that you could build one of the most successful companies in the world by simply being decent, by being fair. He proved that you don't have to choose between taking care of your employees, taking care of your customers, and making a profit for your shareholders. He proved that if you do the first two things exceptionally well, the third one will naturally follow. It's a quiet...
So, what do you think? After hearing the whole story, has your view of Costco changed at all? I'm genuinely curious to hear your final thoughts in the comments below. Is this a model more businesses should follow, or is Costco just a one-of-a-kind unicorn? Anyway, that's the story I wanted to share with you tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and letting me ramble on about one of my favorite business stories. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. Until next time, take care of yourselves.